The fourth edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-4, defines sociopath as an antisocial personality disorder characterized by a lack of regard for the moral or legal standards in the local culture. There is a marked inability to get along with others or abide by societal rules. Individuals with this disorder are sometimes called psychopaths or sociopaths. And that came out in 1994. In 2013, the brand spanking new 5th edition of the DSM, the go-to guide for diagnosing mental illnesses, puts the term sociopath under the umbrella term antisocial personality disorder, with diagnosis assigned to individuals who habitually violate the rights of others without remorse. I define sociopath right now in this moment as one of those just creepy bastards you meet from time to time who have that little glint in their eye. That little glint in their eye that when you see it, like you just kind of know in your gut on like an instinctive animal level, you know they would fucking stab you in your sleep if they knew that they wouldn't get caught and had something significant to gain by doing so. The last kind of person you'd want to be lost out in the woods with. Basically, someone who truly does not give a single fuck about anyone but themselves. So get ready to go full sociopath on this uncaring, emotionless, and pathological edition of Timesuck.
You're listening to Timesuck.
All right, now I've always been fascinated with the sociopaths. I was a psych major in college. I graduated with a little psych degree. Just a bachelor's, nothing marketable, nothing you can make money on. But I was just fascinated with, sociopaths, psychopaths, which basically I feel are like, I always thought of as people with no conscience. People who just essentially just didn't feel guilt about, whatever they did. And it's just such a crazy way to live. And I definitely feel like I've known some. I feel like I've known some comics who are like this. It's like I've done bad things. I've done things I'm not proud of. Like one of the things that I brings up myself the most shame is in one relationship. This girl I was dating, I cheated on her several times, and then just kind of I just feel like a dick to this day. And when I was younger, I'll get into this a little bit later, but I stole stuff for a while, and I feel guilt over all of that still, and I feel a lot of guilt when I did it. And I feel like basically like a sociopath is somebody who can do those things, and they don't want to get caught, like they don't want to get in trouble, but they don't feel bad. They don't lay in bed at night and just be like, oh, I'm such a piece of shit. Like, God, I suck as a human being. That sinking feeling of, oh my God, what if I hurt somebody? What if this store owner really, I really hurt his profit, is going to help him go to business? What if this, this poor girl, I'm messing up her vision of men and setting such a bad example, and, have to be accountable to my own kids someday about the actions I've taken. That kind of stuff haunts me. But some people are just like, man, whatever, fucking carpe diem, dude. Hey, man, it's just in the past, bro. Whatever, man. It's a fucking dog-eat-dog world. You just got to get yours. And it's actually, for some people, as we're going to find out in a little bit on this episode, helps them be very successful because they're able to just climb and just step on people and just whatever. They deserve it for being weak. Who cares? It's all about me. Me. It has a lot of elements of narcissism. But that's all just me talking out my beehole. Let's get into some actual... What if I actually literally was doing that? That would be an impressive feat. What if up until now on this podcast, I had the mic up to my butt and my mouth shut? He's a wizard. So anyway, sociopath further defined from the DSM-5. I crack myself up whenever I sing to myself. I'm an idiot. I'm like a fucking stupid 10-year-old most of the time. Okay, so sociopath further defined from the DSM-5, failure to obey laws, norms by engaging in behavior which results in criminal arrest or would warrant criminal arrest, lying, deception, manipulation for profit or self-amusement, impulsive behavior, irritability, and aggression manifested as frequently as like assaults on others, engages in fighting, blatantly disregards safety of self and others. I would think mostly others, but hey, I'm not going to put words in their book. A pattern of irresponsibility, a lack of remorse for actions. To go even further, in the DSM-5, individuals with antisocial personality disorder, so sociopath / psychopath, tend to be charismatic, attractive, very good at obtaining sympathy from others. That's weird that they would throw in attractive. You know, like that's the one benefit of being like super ugly, is that you have a smaller odds of becoming a sociopath. Maybe because it doesn't work as well for you. Because like if you're ugly, people won't put up with that lack of remorse as much as like dudes will put up a lot with a hot chick. I'm like, God, she's such a bitch or whatever, and she's so selfish, but she's so hot that I just want to sleep with her. So whatever, right? And vice versa. You know, I think women, you don't hear about it as much, but would do that with a guy. They just think he's like, or if he's like a good earner and he's very attractive, you know, and they'll rationalize his selfish. But if you're ugly, you gotta be friendly, okay? If you want to get ahead of life, have you ever heard that song? Ugly people, you gotta be friendly if you want to get ahead. That was the REO Speedwagon song, I think 82. It was never released or written. Okay, so to go back into this, studies suggest the average intelligence of antisocials higher than the norm. This has been disputed. Antisocials possess a superficial charm, have an intuitive ability to rapidly observe and analyze others, determine their needs and preferences, present it in a manner to facilitate manipulation and exploitation. They're able to harm and use other people in this manner without remorse, guilt, shame, regret. Widely stated that antisocials are without empathy. However, this can be disputed as sadistic antisocials will use empathy to experience their victim's suffering and derive fuller pleasure from it, which how that's not empathy. Like if you're just trying to like feel bad, what? Empathize because you want to like psychic vampire suck up their pain, but for your pleasure? That doesn't feel like empathy to me. Yeah, so just very like so that analyzing thing, man. I've noticed that with people that I've in my past thought to be sociopaths, hang around where they just like really watch and observe. They're just like studying humans, but almost like in an alien kind of way. Like since they don't instinctively know how to be a good person, it's like they're just watching and like, oh, that's interesting. That mother seems to be sincerely hugging their child. So that's what love looks like. Okay, I'll make a note of that so I can pretend to do that. Really weird. But yeah, I have gotten vibes from people where I'm like, man, you're just not right. You would stab me in the woods if you thought you would never get caught and like get some money or something out of the deal. Okay, so prevalence, let's talk about that. So how common is this? According to the DSM-5, the prevalence of antisocial personality disorder is 0.02% to 3.3%. But when the criteria from prior DSM editions are applied, this is from the American Psychiatric Association, the good old APA, 2013, it says somewhere between a little less than 1 and a little over 3% of people are sociopaths. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot at first, but that's actually pretty common. You know, like a little over 3. Let's say it's on the high end. So a little over 3 out of 100 is roughly 1 in 30. I mean, odds are, you know 30 people. And statistically, one of them would be a sociopath. Or based on some other things, I'm not going to cite the statistics from, but things that I read, a variety of articles talked about, like, incarcerated felons, there's a much higher percentage of sociopaths there. So there's so if you're listening to this podcast in prison, I don't know if that's a thing. If you are, God bless you. You know what? I'm not gonna fucking turn away prisoners from putting this fun into your ear holes. You probably know a lot of sociopaths, though. Probably there's a good chance maybe you are one. Now, this is a scary thing I did not know. I'm fascinated by this. So that's the prevalence. Now let's talk about treatment. I had this surprised me. I thought it was treatable, possibly. I don't know why I thought that, or maybe I just hadn't really thought about it. I guess if it was treatable or not, I guess I just assume that most disorders are treatable, like schizophrenia. You can give medicine for or whatever. But the consensus is, according to the DSM-5 again, which is the Bible of psychology, there is very little in the way of effective treatment for antisocial personality disorders, as individuals with APD may have to be contained by the, and this is a quote, contained by the criminal justice system through some combination of incapacitation, incarceration, or supervision and monitoring, like parole, probation, house arrest, informal monitoring by local law enforcement to contain their harmful behaviors to others to the greatest extent possible. Incarceration may not be a deterrent to the antisocial individual, as those with APD have difficulty learning from mistakes, rigid in decision-making, make poor decisions, and are unresponsive to punishment. Shit. So, you can't treat it, and they tend not to care about being punished. Wow, so I think the big lesson from that is get the fuck away from them. Like, if you're in a relationship with somebody that gets diagnosed, and I know this is me talking, this is not the APA or anything, or any kind of psychological agency. I mean, I think they would say like, yeah, but you can work around it, and maybe they would say that. I don't know. Maybe some people think that, but they still deserve love. It's basically, it sounds like it's almost like a birth defect. Like some people are born, without the cleft palate thing, like they're born without some part of their mouth / jaw, something's they're born without. I know that maybe they're born without a cleft. I don't know. I shouldn't have brought up that example because clearly I don't know any of the terminology at all. Let's just go arm. That's an easier. I know what an arm is. I've seen them. I have to. If you're born without one, you're just like shit, man. You don't got. But I guess you could get a prosthetic arm. You can't get a prosthetic conscience, so it's even worse. It's even worse than being in a way. It's just like you're just born without that part of your brain in a way. I'm actually going to get into science, so I should probably just stop bullshitting because I'll explain a little bit more of the actual organic kind of reasons people get this disorder. But anyway, the point is get away from them. If you're dating somebody and they find out they're a sociopath, you really think they are, you're not going to change them. They're not going to go from Christian Bale, American Psycho, to just like, laid back and just fucking chill as fuck and cool. That's not gonna be a transition they're gonna make. They're not gonna, they're not gonna go from Christian Bale, American Psycho, to oh my God, say anything. I know you're listening right now. You're already thinking of this guy. Oh no, I have to. This is gonna drive me crazy. Say anything. John Cusack. Boom. Zap. That's who it is. I just channeled my inner Dave Waite there. So yeah, you're not gonna make that transition. So, but I want to talk really quick too about, because I was fascinated by this, sociopath and psychopath, because those terms are thrown around a lot together, like to the point that they almost feel synonymous. And clearly, it's even, I feel like, a little murkier still than it used to be with this umbrella term of antisocial personality disorder that they both kind of get thrown underneath. But there is a difference. And so I always picture a psychopath as like obviously crazy. Like in another bit I did talking about people who do like mass murders, like they seem to be like photogenically crazy. Like you could diagnose mental illness from a picture taken of them. Like a wild-eyed, blatantly mentally ill. Like Jack Nicholson in The Shining, kind of crazy like that. Here's Johnny. When he fucking smashes through the door with his axe. Like you're not thinking, oh, I wonder if there's something wrong with that guy. You're like, oh, crazy and dangerous. I know I'm no doctor, but I know crazy and dangerous when I see it, and I see a psychopath. To me, and after doing some research, it turns out I was kind of right. According to medicaldaily.com, sociopathy, while the less understood of the two disorders, can be congenital or acquired. So you can be born with it, is what they're saying, or through socioeconomic and kind of environmental circumstances, you can become a sociopath when you were born perfectly healthy. However, psychopaths, that is generally considered a confluence of genetic and chemical imbalances. So it is like your brain was not formed correctly. Psychopaths lack the proper neurological framework to develop a sense of ethics and morality. So to me, scarier. They don't have the neurons aren't firing in the right places. Like that little place in your brain where you're like, no, I'm not gonna fucking take an axe and kill that person. That's a human being with their own desires and right to live and hopes, and people love them and would miss them. And who am I? Psychopath is like, yeah, but it'd be fun. I wonder how their blood would look if I just axed away. Sociopaths interact with the social worlds in a meaningful way, but their moral compasses needed a massive tune-up yesterday, is basically the problem with them. Both tend to be charming, despite being unable to empathize normally with others. They offer convincing systems of fear and disgust, but tend to lack both. But here's the main difference. Psychopaths cross the line. Sociopaths may hold up in their houses and remove themselves from society, but like a psychopath is busy in his basement rigging shackles to the furnace. And that's like something I would say. That's actually from daily.com, medicaldaily.com. and again, to kind of use the movie referenced earlier, Christian Bale from American Psycho, that's Psychopath. I feel like a straight up psychopath. Whereas like a Dexter Morgan from the Showtime series Dexter, more of a sociopath. Or like Jake, Gyllenhaal's Lou in Nightcrawler, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. Really good movie. Like one of my favorite movies of, I believe it was last year. The year I saw it, I was just like blown away. I like him as an actor, but I really thought that was great. But he's a sociopath. And if you haven't seen that movie, he's just a dude who, yeah, he's not going to take an axe to you. He's not going to go out of his way to kill you. But if you are causing a problem and he creates circumstances that make a situation very dangerous for you, like I don't want to spoil stuff, but if he, were to do that and you were to die, sweet. He's not going to call an ambulance. He's gonna let it happen because he has something to gain from it. Whereas Christian Bale is gonna fucking go chainsaw Johnny and just go, full berserker mode. He's gonna go doom berserker on your ass. And psychopaths are dangerous. Like I just said, they're violent and cruel. And this is going back to the medicaldaily.com. Oftentimes downright sinister. They show no remorse for their actions, usually because of a lesion on a part of their brain responsible for fear and judgment, known as the amygdala. There we go, amygdala. Psychopaths commit crimes in cold blood. They crave control and impulsivity, possess a predatory instinct, attack proactively rather than as a reaction to confrontation. That's interesting. A 2002 study found that 93.3% of psychopathic homicides were instrumental in nature, meaning, like they planned it out, compared with 48.4% of the homicides by people who weren't psychopaths. So twice as many, almost exactly. Like psychopaths, so maybe the examples I was using earlier weren't totally correct. They plan out their murders. But again, to kind of go to what they're saying, more likely to just straight up murder you than a sociopath. And I guess sociopaths can be a result of lesion brain regions, but upbringing may also play, as I said earlier, a larger role in a child becoming a sociopath versus those diagnosed as psychopaths. And again, sociopathic behavior is manifested as convincing and deceitful despite an outward appearance of trustworthiness or sincerity. Sociopaths are often pathological liars, which, if you know my stand-up, I know I'm fascinated with that. I this bit, Rick, got this CD I did years ago in special, the guy slapping the salmon, which is based on a real dude. That actually, his real name, if you're a fan of trivia of my stuff, he called himself Wolf. He was this dude who always wore Wolf T-shirts. And he was like, man, people call me Wolf, but he was that kind of guy where it's like, no, you call you Wolf, and then you say people call you Wolf, like you are perpetuating being called Wolf, not some Native American chief was like, he will be called Wolf from this day forward. That was a weird like half Indian, half Native American accent. But I have met other pathological liars, and they are fascinating. There was this lady I worked with when I did counseling very briefly before comedy, at this group home, and this lady who was the cook there, I won't give her a name, but if you worked with me, you know who you are, you know who this lady is. And she would tell so many lies that we used to joke about, like we almost did it. I wanted to do it, but maybe I don't know, I just didn't take the initiative, but I wanted to keep a journal that we could, like me and the other counselors, could write down her careers, because she would reference, like the timeline didn't add up. She would reference like being a truck driver for 7 years, and she was a high school teacher for 8 years, and she was a park ranger for 14 years, and she was a chef at this other restaurant for 7 years, and she was like 45 years old, but she's told so many things that just doing like a rough estimate, I'm like, she's told me 150 years worth of shit over the past 6 months. So like, the overwhelming majority of this stuff has to be lies. And if she's lying about that, she clearly probably just lying about everything that she says. It's just, so maybe she was a sociopath. Maybe that was just, one of the things manifesting. So why being a sociopath? But now here's the thing, though. I kind of mentioned earlier about, you could kick some ass not having a conscience. And there has been some interesting studies done about like CEOs. Like, the percentage of CEOs being psychopaths, and the study I came across said 5% compared to 1% of the human population are actually socio or psychopaths for CEOs. or 4 to 5%. So they're roughly 4 times more likely to be as like a psychopath than the average person. According to journalist John Ronson, he spent 2 years researching this, published a book called The Psychopath Test, A Journey Through the Madness Industry. And he talked about how a bunch of CEOs have demonstrated psychopathic traits, like Steve Jobs, former Apple CEO, was famous for just screaming and berating his employees. Denied paternity of his own daughter for years. Like the dude was just so selfish and cold-blooded. But when you have that, you know, you can really just focus on climbing the ladder because you're just not worried about being a good person. It's just, you know, the career climb is a game, and you're just like, it's like a video game. Your life is a video game, and just how can you get the highest score? You're not concerned of how your score affects others. Donald Trump built a brand, and this isn't my words. I know probably some of you are tired of hearing me like bash Trump, but this is just, even if you are in favor of Trump, I would think that you have to realize, I hope that you have to realize, he's clearly a sociopath. I mean, the dude, I mean, he's famous for saying you're fired. He likes to get rid of people. Like, you see his face on the debates. He's so fucking cruel, like outwardly cruel. And you could tell just egomaniacal, and would do like I wouldn't trust him in a second. Not that I'm saying I trust like other politicians, but I trust him so much less. Like I would think, you know, with him and Hillary, I think Hillary might at least feel guilty about killing me if she needed to. I don't think he would lose a wink of sleep. So yeah, I don't want to be alone in the woods with him. But another example is former CEO Al Chainsaw Dunlap. He was praised for ruthlessly downsizing failing companies, turning them around in 1994. He was brought in to downsize a company called Scott Paper. He fired 35% of employees in a restructuring that raised the stock by 225%, and published a book about his methods called Mean Business: How I Save Bad Companies and Make Good Companies Great. To me, which is like a rationalization of the title. It's like, I'm doing it for the betterment of everybody. No, dude, you are doing it for the stockholders. You are just fucking over the little guy in favor of the stockholders. And in this book, I guess like some interviews and stuff, his wife reportedly told her that he wanted to know what human flesh tasted like. And he skipped his own parents' funerals in favor of work. That is a sociopath. And now I'm going to take a test here in a second to find out if I am a psychopath. I tried to find sociopath and psychopath tests. You know what? I'm going to find out both. No, I'm going to do both. We're going to find out if I'm a psychopath or a sociopath. And I promise answering these honestly. But before I do that, the last other thing is here's the little graphic I found of careers that there's studies done that where they find like the lowest amount of socios/psychopaths and the highest amount of sociopaths and psychopaths. Lowest, 1 to 10, care aide, nurse, therapist, craftsperson, beautician stylist, charity worker, teacher, creative artist, me, doctor, accountant. So those are the people who are least likely to be sociopath, psychopath. Highest, 1, CEO, lawyer, media, TV, radio, shit. So maybe I am. Salesperson, surgeon, journalist, police officer, clergy person, chef, or civil servant. Man, don't trust the man is what I'm getting for that. Man, you got police officer, member of the clergy, civil servant. I've always been leery. I've always been leery of people in power positions. And you know what? Maybe there is some good instinct in me that. Because it looks like a lot of those power players that I just referenced, sociopaths. I do think that's weird that surgeon is like number 5 for most likely, whereas doctor is, on the 9, but for like lowest. So that's weird. I guess surgeons, maybe you got to be more cold-blooded to pull that off. Okay, so this is a psychopath test. This is from Vistri. It's like VISTRIAI.com/psychopath test. So if you want to take this, again, it's http or www.VISTRIAI.com psychopath test. What is your age? 39. What gender do you qualify as? Male. Mark each of the items below as true or false when applied to you. I never get tongue-tied. False. Anyone has seen me live, that it takes me a while to put some of the jokes together. Even on these podcasts, I definitely get tongue-tied. Like my brain is going in one direction, my mouth's going in another. In important ways, I am superior to most people. I know some of these answers are not going to make me look good. I say true. I do have a little bit of a superiority complex, but that's mostly because I think so many strangers are pieces of shit who have no decency and manners and don't give a fuck about others. And you know what? I care about that stuff. So yeah, I do feel superior. Suck it. I am prone to boredom. True. I am prone to boredom. I am a squirm and Herman. I get a little antsy. It's hard for me to like sit down and chill out. I lie to make things go smoother. This doesn't make me sound good, but I'm going to say true. Sometimes, not on like big things, but sometimes, if someone's like, "Man, do you think this is a good thing that I wrote? Is this a good screenplay?" I might think it's shit, but I don't want to be the guy. Sometimes I will. I go back and forth, but sometimes I'm just like, "Fuck it." Now you can find out from somebody else. And I'm like, "Yeah, it's great." I totally lie to make it go smoother. I cheat people out of things. False. No, I don't try to cheat people out of things. I rarely feel guilty. That's false. I'm an emotional person. True. I rarely connect emotionally with others. That's false. I often get others to pay for things for me. I wish. It's false. That sounds sweet. Wish I could get people to buy me shit. That sounds great. I am impatient. Yes, true. Oh my God, super impatient. It's one of my biggest flaws. Like, it's made me almost quit comedy so many times because I think I should be getting certain career goals immediately, and then when I don't, I just get like insanely frustrated. And when things, even when something good is on the horizon, I just get so angry like that it hasn't happened yet. Always struggle with patience. If you've ever watched me assemble anything, you know that I have no patience. I go from following instructions for the first 10 minutes, and then first thing goes wrong, I go to screaming and hitting things. I am promiscuous. That's false. Maybe in the past at certain points, maybe that would be true, but overall false. I was a problem child. False. I was kind of a mama's boy to be. I did do some things, but like they were sneaky. But I wasn't a problem to my parents. And that's how I'm interpreting that question. I have difficulty staying committed to long-term goals. True. I've given up on a lot of creative projects. I'm impulsive. Yes, true. I frequently perform sloppy work. False. Try not to be sloppy with my work. My housekeeping skills is another story. I try to evade responsibility. False. My romantic relationships usually fall apart quickly. No, false. I've had several long-term relationships. I committed some crimes as a juvenile. True. I'm going to save that for another episode. But yeah, I got old sticky fingers going for a couple years there. And I don't have time to get into it right now, because this would be a marathon episode, and it would take derail the topic. But yeah, I got into a couple years. I got into, swiping some shit. Got way too into it. I thought I was a little criminal, like I was going to be some bank robber someday. Took it a little far. So yes, I have violated a probation order. False. I've committed many types of crimes. True. I am neither shy nor self-conscious. And the true thing is, I shoplifted. I burglarized. I have DUI on my record. So that's I have malicious mischief and city theft on my record. Another story. So there's truth there. I am neither shy nor self-conscious. I speak with authority. False. I am exceptional. I think I'm exceptional. I like to think of myself that way. I say true, but then I'm kind of bipolar that way. Sometimes I think I'm a piece of shit. So I don't know, but I put true. I need to take risks to feel alive. True. I'm a gambler with my career. And, I do feel dead if I'm not taking risks. I basically am an honest person. I think that's true. God, there's a lot of fucking questions on this one. Jesus Christ. I feel bad when I trick people. True. If someone deserves it, I don't feel too bad. True. I struggled with that one. I don't know. They're really dumb. It's a harmless trick, whatever. I think strong emotions are for the weak. I do get a little bit sometimes. I don't like a crybaby. I'll put true. It's just, it's like, dude, stop being a bake. Stop crying. It bothers me. I think if people get offended, that is their problem. True. On that one, for sure, true. It's like people in the audience, it's like the kind of person like, clean comedy is so much harder to do. You have to use a lot of cursing and profanity. What are you, a fucking child? You fucking baby. A couple words bother you. You're so sensitive. Go fuck yourself. I've always taken care of myself. True. Yeah, I think I'm pretty independent. As far as taking care of myself, I never act hastily. That's false. Some people do that. I think sex should not be taken lightly, or I think sex should not be taken lightly. I don't know. False. I've taken sex pretty lightly in the past, and it didn't mean much. I was often in trouble at school. False. I lacked direction in my life. False. I never gave to temptation. False. I always keep my word. I'm going to say false on that one because who always keeps their word? Probably some people who are better than me. That makes me sound like a dick. But, not always. Sometimes life changes and, and I fucking can't keep doing the things because some other shit came up and I wish I could. Our problems are mostly the fault of others. True, which makes me sound like a dick. I don't like to commit in relationships. False. I was a bully in high school. And I put true on this because I was bullied by some people. I was, back down from fights kind of thing, which I'm ashamed of to this day. But also was like a verbal bully, which is ruthless, would cut people down. And I feel a lot of guilt to this day about that. So there was some bullying. I don't like to commit relations. Oh, yeah. I have been held in contempt of court. False. I am not or would not be proud of getting away with crimes. That's false. I was proud of getting away with some stuff. I thought I was pretty good at it. So I submitted all that. And drum roll, I scored an 18. 30 or higher. There's 40 total questions indicate psychopath tendencies. So, take the test if you want. Find out if you're a psychopath. And this is a shorter test, so I'll do this real fast. Am I a sociopath? And this is from illnessquiz.com/sociopath-test. Illnessquiz.com. Do you joke about yourself or like it when people joke about you? False. I don't like it. I don't like to be made fun of. Even though I make fun of stuff all the time, I think I do it abstractly. I talk about behaviors, not individuals for the most part. I don't like being singled out. I don't do that in the audience. I don't go after somebody unless they're disrupting the show. Do you fail to learn from experience? False. I learn from experience. Do you particularly care about how others feel? Yeah, I care about how others feel. You've just hurt someone's feelings. How does that make you feel? Guilty. Though I may not be proud to admit it, it is not my fault. It is normal for me to hurt others. Guilty. I feel guilt. Next one. 5. Are you aggressive or cool-headed? And the answer is aggressive, cool-headed, or depends on situation. I put depends on situation. Most of the time I'm cool-headed. And again, if you've been at certain of my shows, you've seen me physically threaten bodily harm on an audience member in a moment of rage, which would count as aggressive, I think. Are you generally an anxious person? Yep. I'm anxious right now. I am anxious at this moment because I arbitrarily set this podcast length at like 30 minutes. I wanted it to do it, and it's 32 minutes right now. And I swear to God, I'm just like that is crazy. Like someone's going to write back to the show, you know what, man? Fuck you and your podcast. I have a 30-minute drive exactly to work. And now I am a few minutes late because I needed to find out about your test. And you promised it will be 30. I get a little crazy. Do you tell lies or say insincere things? I already said that above. We already covered that, so that's true. Are you responsive to others socially? False. I'm kind of a bad friend. I don't get back to people on text sometimes. I just get real like antisocial and hermity, and I just don't want to talk to somebody, and that's not good. Are you superficially charming and intelligent? That's really like derogatory, but I put true. I think I bullshit my way through certain conversations for sure, which I would consider like superficially intelligent, like because I don't want to be found out about being stupid. So I just try and hang past a point where I should hang. I'm trying to get better about that. I'm trying to get better about like, nah, dude, I'm out. I don't know what you're talking about anymore. But I can turn on charm if I want, which seems superficial. It's not because it's not all the time. You have delusions or other signs of irrational thinking. False. That might be debatable if you know me. Your behavior is antisocial for no good reason. True. And that kind of goes back to me not getting back to people earlier. Being like hermity isn't a good reason to be antisocial. You have poor judgment. True. True. I've made a lot of stupid. If you've ever seen my "This Is Not Happening" on YouTube story about taking a lot of LSD in Vegas, that is poor judgment for sure. It's not like I was 19. I was like 35 when I did that. Okay. You are pathologically egocentric and incapable of love. False. You generally lack the ability to react emotionally. False. Your sex life is impersonal, trivial, or poorly integrated. False. I have a good sex life with my wife. When you say, I think, I would suck if she popped on the microphone right now. I was like, nope. Your sex life. Sorry. When you say you're sorry, you usually don't mean it. False. I mean it when I say I'm sorry. You often act before you think about the consequences. False. You got in a lot of trouble when you were a kid. False. I did a lot of shitty things, but I didn't get caught, so I'm not going to count that as trouble. You were very good at manipulating people in situations. False. I try not to manipulate stuff. You have been cruel to animals. Oh, man, I don't like saying true on that, but true. As a kid, my sister Donna had a cat named Toby, and I would put Toby in my mom's My mom's nylons, I would stuff the cat into the nylons because I thought it made her look like a burglar. Like it would smush her hair. And she would get, her fur would get all patted down. And then she wouldn't like it. And then the worst thing, and then I just took it further and I would swing her around like a helicopter. Like this poor cat is smushed into nylon. And then I would like fucking helicopter around the room. Like that, I could have killed it. That's cruel. That is cruel. There was definitely a period of childhood when I was cruel to animals. That's so messed up. Here's the results. After all those answers, the test comes back and it says, I am a 30% sociopath, which means I'm not. I don't know what the cutoff. I don't know if it's like 51. I got 30%. I got a third. Okay. So instead of like five takeaways, I want to do a top 5 this time examples of sociopaths. Okay, Sherlock Holmes. Interesting. Number 1. This is the BBC one where he is a high-functioning sociopath from fiction. Aloof, he does not realize when he's hurt the feelings of his closest companions. Watson, Mrs. Hudson, cares little for social regard. Quick to anger when people can't keep up. Okay. Clockwork Orange. Alex, the lead character in this dystopian novella, runs this. Yeah, okay. If you've seen the movie, you've seen it. You haven't, but he not a good dude. Not a lot of empathy. And then he gets sent to prison to experiment to remove all this violent intent from him. Okay, this one I've seen. The Iceman, and this is a list, by the way, from psychologize.org, top 5 famous sociopaths. It's Richard Kuklinski, or Kuklinski, a.k.a. the Iceman. Now, this was a famous hitman, and there was like this documentary done on him. There was also Michael Shannon played him in a movie, if you look it up, but he was like a fairly good dad in his own way, like unemotional, but provided for his family. But he just, if he was like following orders kind of thing. If his boss, wanted somebody dead, didn't matter if you begged or not, you were going to be dead. And he was going to go home and have dinner that night and, watch a show and not fucking worry about it. Yeah. Oh, crazy. Just how casually this dude would talk about murder. And then there was number 4, Will Cornick. This kid born in Leeds, England, 1998. Came from a loving family up until 12 years old, model student, but from the age of 13 when he was diagnosed with a life-limiting illness, doesn't say what, his behavior changed. For 3 years, he carried a pathological hatred of his Spanish teacher, 59-year-old Anne McGuire, writing posts on his Facebook page about how she deserved to die. And then in April 2014, aged just 15, he walks up behind her, unprovoked, stabs her in the neck. She dies instantly. That's one hell of a stab. Afterwards, then he just sits down next to some friends saying, good times. So apparently, he stabbed her in front of him and then just sits down like, hey, that was cool, right? No conflict, no provocation. Wow. That's the kind of shit I joke about. I feel like I'm a joke sociopath where it's like, yeah, I talk about how I'd fucking love just to go stab strangers in their necks. But I really wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Unless they were, now I'm having to think about it. Unless they were really bad people. Like if they were like pedophiles, yeah, line them up and let's commence neck stabbing. Okay, 5, Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada, fictional fashionista, guru. I know my wife loved this movie, but belittles her assistant, anyone who does not come up to her standards, quick to anger, vile and violent temper, make no allowances for weaker people. She has trouble making and keeping friends, except those who are obsequious enough. She's ruthless as the devil. Okay, I am going to do the top 5 takeaways after that. This is going to be a 40-minute episode. You're getting a bonus 10. I'm trying to keep these short, but I'm just so fascinated with this topic. Excuse me. Number 1 takeaway from this episode. If you're going to be a sociopath, go into management. It's the best place for your heartless skill set, you son of a bitch. Number 2, despite not feeling bad when I trick people, having a juvenile criminal record, and thinking that my problems are mostly the fault of others, I am not a psychopath or a sociopath. I took a test on the internet as proof. Number 3. Since the odds of you being a sociopath are somewhere between 1 in 100 and 1 in 30, you probably are not a sociopath, but you for almost for sure have met several and probably at least have known one. So think about that when you're laying in bed. Number 4, you're better off running across a psychopath than a sociopath because the psychopath, at least you can see him coming. At least you can prepare to defend yourself. I feel like the sociopath's the one, that again, out in the woods, stabs you in the back. The psychopath, coming towards you screaming, wielding an axe, you can get a little head start. So better to come across, in a weird way, a psychopath. And so unless you're in an alley, a dark alley, then I think that I would rather come across a sociopath because they're less apt to kill you just for the impulse thrill of it than a psychopath. So really, I guess really number 4 is just it's better off not running into either. Better off staying away from either one. Number 5, 3 of the top careers for sociopaths are civil servant, government employee, which is the same thing, a police officer, and like a clergyman/priest. So, as I said earlier, don't trust the fucking man. Trust a creative artist like me. Forget about the media on the fucking sociopath side. Focus on the artist like myself. I consider myself a comedic artist. Trust me. And, just keep listening to Timesuck. And take a second to rate Timesuck on whatever platform you happen to listen to it on. The more ratings it gets, the more people notice it, the more people listen, and the more incentive I have to take all this time it takes to research and deliver episode after episode, which I do enjoy. But it just makes me want to do it more if you like it. And if you're new to me as a stand-up, check out one of my 5 albums on iTunes, Amazon, wherever albums are sold. Listen to it on Spotify. Make a Dan Cummins Pandora station. Do that. It's free. Make it. Put my name in the Pandora search box. Get all the stand-up you can handle for free. That was annoying. I annoyed myself with that noise. It didn't work out like I hoped. And if you want to reach me with a question about one of the shows, or if you have a comment to add, leave it on my Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, Twatter, Squatter, Sonograph. I'm just going to start saying random words like his Sonograph. I haven't heard of that social media thing. It's probably it'll be like Sonograph, where you just put pictures of fucking unborn babies and compare them and share them and rate them. Or just email me directly at dan@dadcummins.tv. Talk at you next week, probably for not quite as long. But who knows? I try to keep it tight, but then I just get to yapping. And it gets a little long sometimes on Timesuck.